the sun is just below the horizon. I see the glow building over on the eastern horizon, over the hilltops, over the trees as I step out of the lake cottage, a mug of tea in my hands. I wrap my hands around its warmth as I stand out on the patio, looking across the lake. I'm just slightly higher than the lake here, so I can survey the whole thing from side to side. Oh, it's such a peaceful time of day at the lake. And it's a peaceful time of year. There aren't many people here at this time, and there's hardly any docks out, but the dock is out at this cottage, so I walk down the path. There's some big flat stones sunken into the grass, and I see some clover growing over the edge of the stones and dotted among the grass. It just looks so quaint and so homey to see clover growing in the grass. At the edge of the grass, there's a rock wall, sort of, just roughly thrown rocks against the angle of shoreline that is sometimes underwater, but not this year. Right now the water is lower, and so there's sand between the rocks and the water. At the top level of the rocks, I step out onto the wooden dock. I love the sound and the feel of a wooden dock. There's the creak of some boards, the little sag under my feet of other boards. The whole thing has a kind of a hollow thud as I walk out. This is a long dock, and that's needed because of how shallow this lake is. So for swimming at the end of the dock, it needs to be 80 feet long to get a decent depth for swimming. So I just slowly stroll out the length of the dock, holding my mug of tea. I feel the coolness of the air on my cheeks and my nose, but I have a cozy wool stocking cap on and a wool sweater, and I'm just loving this temperature, loving this season. At the end of the dock, I stand there and take deep breaths. The air is so moist. It feels so rich and almost like a meal for my lungs. It just feels refreshing and invigorating and soothing. The light is growing brighter over the eastern shore, and I see more distinctly cut against the light some dark silhouettes of trees, some very tall pines, so regal, standing higher than everything else around, and lots of deciduous trees melting into a blur of slowly undulating horizon. Overall, they outline the entire hillside on the far side of the lake, and another hillside rising to the south. A whole stretch of the north side has no cottages, but just a hill going up with sometimes cows pasturing on it. I love how I can really see every shore of this lake because it's only about a mile across. I listen and I hear a loon call. Oh, that is my favorite sound at the lake, is the loons. I heard some during the night when I woke for a bit, and I heard them when I first got up, and I heard them when I went to bed, and they just make me happy. They're such an iconic part of lakes and vacations, and they have their different cries and calls, but this is the very mournful warble. I take a sip of my tea. So wonderfully warm. I decide I want to sit down and just soak this in. So I lower myself to the dock. It's slightly damp, but I don't mind. I'm wearing kind of waterproofy pants. Suddenly I notice, along the shore to my left, an egret. No, a heron. I always mix those two up. A great blue heron. Oh, they are so funny to watch because they kind of slink along, moving so slowly, like no one will notice me. And then their neck moves slowly in rhythm with their legs, that long, long neck. Suddenly I see his head cock a little bit, and then his long, sharp beak jabs down under the water. Oh, he must have caught a minnow. And then I hear a little splash out to my other side and out off the end of the dock, and I look. Oh, I missed seeing the fish jump, but look at those ripples. They're spreading and spreading, and with how calm the lake is, I'm sure they will still be distinct ripples by the time they reach the dock. So I scoot to the edge of the dock and look down over the edge, and I watch the leg, one of the legs of the dock, where it disappears into the water. I take another sip of tea while I wait for the ripples to arrive. And there they are, one after another. The circles are just long lines at this point, sweeping past the leg of the dock and getting broken by it and turning into little swirls. I look up again and the sun is almost ready to rise. The colors have changed. There's a few clouds at the horizon, so they catch the light, and there's golds and oranges turning to hot pinks and salmon and beautiful mango color. Then there's some bright blue in the sky up higher. And as I sit and watch, I can see where the sun is going to peek through between the trees, because it's almost like a fire starting to show there. I think how many deep breaths will it be before I see that? And so I start counting. Take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. And out for 8. That was 1, and another. And out. And that's it. It was 2 breaths. There is the sun. I have to look away because it's so bright, the little bit showing. And I look up and around at the clouds, and I look at the trees to the sides, and I even glance back behind me to see how it's affecting this shore, the western shore, and I see the light hitting the treetops and then hitting the roof of the cottage. And looking at the chimney, it's glowing. I look back to the east, and the sun is now not just a slit, it's a half of a ball. It's amazing whenever I watch a sunrise or sunset to think how fast this globe is spinning underneath me, and me spinning along with it, because that sunrise comes up so fast, and it's fully up. Now I see the loons that I was hearing off pretty far to the south, probably near the reeds that I love to visit with a kayak. I should visit that later today. And I look back to the north, and I look for my heron. No, he must have flown away when I wasn't looking. Oh, there, flapping away along the northern shore. Such big, gangly wings and legs and long neck, but that's a pretty graceful flight. As I sit here, I'm so grateful for this new day, for this beautiful piece of God's creation to enjoy. And I think of a song, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning our song shall rise to thee. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity.